Soar into the ultimate natural history experience. See the world up close. Witness nature's most dramatic moments. Explore the myths and legends that define our past. The eyewitness world, infinitely expandable, a limitless range of subjects in one virtual reality showcase. The mission? To create a fantasy environment where anything can happen. Building the Eyewitness Museum took imagination, technical wizardry, and hundreds of hours. First came the grand vision, then the mapping out on a 3D graphics computer. What shapes for the rooms? How many floors? Which way is up? After the design phase, the graphics team plotted the path of a virtual camera through any room at any speed. But a great museum must be filled with a vast array of creatures and curiosities. The dinosaur skeleton is assembled as a 3D image, then placed within the museum, and finally given color and texture. Bringing live animals to the museum presents another challenge. Animals are filmed against a solid color backdrop. It's a trick finding a color which is not already in this vibrant macaw. Once the backdrop is eliminated, the shot can be layered into the museum. But to complete the illusion, it has to be placed at just the right time, just the right size, and just the right speed. And that's just the title sequence. What about the programs? Each episode has a lead character. Some are animals. In Tree, naturally, it's a tree. But when your tree needs to be set in the museum with roots in view, it's time to consult the model makers, who draw up plans, gather materials, and go to work. First, they build a metal skeleton to give the structure a backbone. That is covered in tape. Next comes a spray-on expanding foam, lightweight with a bark-like texture. Even the leaves and branches have to be custom-made to 1/2 scale. The tree took days to complete. To get the fluid flying shots desired, the tree is brought into a studio equipped with a computer-driven camera. The camera rig weighs over 5 tons, but it moves as delicately as a ballerina.
Hey Tim, from there.
It is programmed to fly through a series of precision coordinates, all logged and controlled through the computer. It can be used to film extremely small objects or very large ones.
I'm going to run this in slowly, Tim. I'll keep an eye on it.
And it never crashes into its subject.
You got that?
To depict the cosmos for prehistoric life, the director came up with a unique approach. After using untold buckets of white paint to create the eyewitness style, the crew now had to plunge the studio into blackness. Light-absorbing velvet drapes were suspended from the walls, and the studio lights were dimmed in shrouds. The moon and the planets were 3D models. Standing in for the sun, a spotlight completed the effect. a total eclipse of the moon. Prehistoric life repeatedly challenged the team to film the unfilmable. How do you capture 100 million years of continental drift in a single shot?
Just a little bit at a time.
Move it, move it, move it.
The solution called for large model continents on wheels lit from below. A fisheye lens puts the scene into a curved globe-like perspective. When dry ice hits water, fog is made, and the scene gets a little atmosphere. The camera flies overhead, sweeping from continent to continent, creating a memorable image of the world as it once was. Here's another challenge. Did anyone order soup? Primordial soup. The Earth before the formation of continents. The stock is 100% wallpaper paste, dyed yellow and red. To make it churn, the crew laid in a network of pipes and bubbled a mixture of gas and air through the soup. Lumps of dry ice suggest a sulfurous steam. Jets of the stuff make for more eerie effects. And once the gas is lit, the newly formed Earth is ready for flyover filming. Aerial shots of a subject which precedes the aeroplane and photography by 4 billion years. The Making of Eyewitness demands creative solutions to extraordinary problems. To visually communicate the vastness of geological time. To bring the marvels of the natural world up close. To magically travel out of the studio into the wild. To film Eyewitness Desert, it seemed natural to ask the ship of the desert to be our star. Enter the camel. At first, she seems reluctant to come to work. Perhaps she's disappointed with the Eyewitness limousine. A seasoned veteran of the film business, she relaxes once under the hot studio lights. Or maybe just the heat reminds her of home. Over the months, the Eyewitness crew have dealt with animals ranging from a chimpanzee to a cockroach. But the camel is the largest animal they've seen all year. And the hungriest.
There's some spray actually in the wide angle.
While our star has breakfast, a wide-angle lens is mounted to get frame-filling shots of the camel in action. Dust-free.
So we get a nice full weight on that neck.
The director rehearses his shots with the crew. And the grips mount the camera on a long jib. With a cracking crew and a cooperative camel, the shots are achieved, one after another. Until someone brings a sandwich on the set, and our star insists on taking 5 and a bite. The crew takes advantage of the welcome break as well. But soon it's back to work. She finishes the job early and makes it home in time for supper. A camera crew could spend a lifetime in the desert waiting for lightning to strike a cactus and still never get the shot. But in the Eyewitness studio, the impossible becomes reality. A scaled-down replica of a cactus is made from foam and carpeting, and an explosive charge is sealed inside. The director heightens the drama of the explosion with slow motion. Ironically, slow motion photography requires a high-speed film camera. A normal video camera is on hand for instant results. Only 2 cactus models were made, so fingers are crossed. Once the camera is up to speed, it only takes a tiny charge to trigger the explosion. Video playback reveals the results. Take 1 is a winner. Now send it to graphics. The Eyewitness Museum is a place where wondrous effects and magical transformations happen all the time. But even here, there is room to be still, silent, and beautiful. Of all the model makers working on Eyewitness, the most cold-blooded must be the ice sculptor, who prepared the swan for pond and river from a single block of ice. He uses only pure distilled water for his blocks. His tools range from the chainsaw to the chisel. He works quickly to free the magnificent form of a swan from its crystalline vault. Water is the sculptor's final polish. Under the hot studio lights, the actor can literally melt away in front of the camera. The crew has to work quickly to get their shots before the swan loses definition. The sculpture is set on a rotating table to give it an easy, graceful, floating motion. Rippling reflections require a lapping pool of water. The images come via a TV monitor hung upside down. W.C. Fields once said, "Never work with animals or children," but the Eyewitness crew lives by a different code. Pond and river called for a baby to sit in the center of a large lily pad. The lily pad came from London's Kew Gardens. The baby was a professional. When your actor is too young to say cheese, the director has to go to extremes to coax a smile. Fortunately, the frog needs no coaxing to hop. For the baby Moses scene, a hand-sewn tapestry dissolves into a handmade marsh, custom constructed in the studio. By now, the whole crew is in babysitter mode. Even the camera is dressed for the nursery. Here, the camera takes on a searching point of view. It's on a hunt, winding its way through the bulrushes until it finds a baby in a basket. Babies are good on camera because their behavior is so natural. The same is true for animals. Squirrels need no instructions when it comes to eating nuts. Many of the Eyewitness animals are professionals. They have wranglers, handlers, even agents. This fox was orphaned as a cub. Rescued and reared by his handler, he appears in dozens of films and commercials. Pigs live a blinkered life. Still, they'll work for peanuts, or acorns if that's what's on the menu. Birds can be more challenging. They fly. We can't. This owl took wing for a high-level studio tour. He made it crystal clear who was really calling the shots on this shoot. Filming came back to Earth for rock and mineral. The art department were the movers and shakers of this episode. There's nothing quite like an earthquake to get a film crew moving. They may look like titans, but these rocks are plastic. They construct the scaffolding to allow the set to be split apart into separate chunks. And they put the final touches to an elaborate rock face cut out of a single styrofoam block. All that remains is to hide the cracks and blanket the entire surface with salt to create a flat field of eyewitness white. To achieve slow motion, the high-speed camera is set for 250 frames per second, 10 times normal speed. Everything is prepared to the last detail. There can be no take two, not without adding a day to the schedule. The moment of truth. Once again, a second video camera gives the crew instant feedback. Another rock wall had been cast by swapping latex over a real stone surface. Back at the studio, the dull gray latex is transformed into a backdrop that would fool any caveman. The axe is a later addition, laid in and spun around by computer graphics. The campfire adds atmosphere. For the fire-making sequence, the job of making sparks goes to the Sparks, the studio electrician. Even the skeleton needs preparation for his role. Old bones need a fresh coat of paint and some expert dressing to give them that lived-in, Stone Age look. To achieve a smooth movement, the jib comes in handy yet again. In this shot, the skeleton meets the episode's hero, Smashy the boulder. How many actors can take this kind of treatment and keep smiling? This is not to say the making of Eyewitness always went as planned. It's often the simplest shots that cause the most headache. This one called for a bit of bedrock bowling. Looks easy. Let the graphics director do it. No? Then let the film director take a turn.
Okay, running up and speed.
The graphics director takes another crack. Then the art director moves in for a close-up and scores. For Seashore, the crew went to the beach, but for some shots, they had to bring the beach back to the studio. A sandcastle in a world of white. Building this castle was child's play for the model makers. Perhaps they got their start this way. The director wants a camera move starting high overhead. This would be no problem if the cameraman were 20 feet tall. Or with a remote-operated jib, designed with just this type of shot in mind. The motion is controlled by the grip, the camera movement specialist, who steers the jib by thumb power. The final touches are added to the castle before the camera can swing into action. Interior shots need a separate model, made and filmed in yet another special studio equipped with computer control. The camera tracks a path through a maze of passageways. Its periscope lens is moved forward inch by inch. Each precise movement is stored on computer. At the push of a button, the massive rig tracks through the miniature model with hairline precision. Model making is no job for the egotist, as hours of hard work often result in shots that pass in the blink of an eye. The entrance to the smuggler's cave took 2 days to make. The shots last only 10 seconds in the finished Seashore program. Eyewitness is based on a best-selling series of books, the Eyewitness Guides, renowned for their graphic innovation and super clarity. So the filmmakers were inspired to continue this tradition with intense close-ups to capture the wonders of nature. The white backgrounds are a direct adaptation of the book's distinctive formula. The subjects stand out vividly, drawing attention to their detail. Graphics must be both original and magical. Escaping the world of print, the Eyewitness Museum is never silent. It's alive with music. For Eyewitness, the composer created the entire soundtrack on his computer. All the sounds are stored on hard disk. Once the notes are entered through the keyboard, the composer can choose any instrument he likes to play them back. The sounds weave in and out of one another as if the whole symphony were encased within the composer's desktop. The Making of Eyewitness comes full circle when the script, which was the starting point of the whole production, is finally read by an actor in the dubbing theater. And that's where I come in. The series editor is on hand to give me my cues, and if I flub a line...
I think you've got your lines and lines mixed up.
Yes, sorry. And if I flub a line, she's there to make sure I get it right. Eyewitness always finds stunning ways to tell its stories, from simple but stylized filmed vignettes to graphic effects using the latest in digital video technology. There's morphing, where one picture can be made to change into another by electronic manipulation. Or just plain magic, like the centaur from Eyewitness Manual. The lower body is supplied by this hard-working Shire horse, who works the streets of London every day delivering beer to busy pubs. Meanwhile, the top half of the centaur is being prepared in makeup. He needs a Shire brown tan and beard.
That's good.
For this shot, the horse is led across the studio floor. The handler and the horse's head will later be erased in the computer graphics suite. Next, it's the actor's turn to pose. Now the two shots need to be combined. The graphics designer works with an electronic pen, which she uses to manipulate the images on screen. Even with the enormous capability of the computer, each frame has to be individually processed, and with 30 frames per second, a shot like this can take days to complete. Once she has topped and tailed the two shots, the designer can piece them together. A little blending, a little cleaning up, and a mythical beast comes to life. Whether high-tech or low-tech, it's the end results that count. And with some imagination, even simple props yield striking shots. A centaur can double as a caveman, and his axe, a relic of the cardboard age. But in Eyewitness, the ancient mingles freely with the ultra-modern, and the caveman is digitally processed into a shadow on a virtual wall. From the prehistoric to the futuristic, the Eyewitness Museum is a place where fantasy becomes reality and the impossible is possible, helping us understand not only what has been, but also the world we know today, making you an eyewitness to the living, breathing, running, jumping, flapping, flying world that is our home.